This is off the scale, but the truth is, as we've all said for years, without Harry and Meghan, there's no real coverage of the royal family. It's been a big year for America's only princess as she turns 5. Fans have seen more of Lilibet in the past year than ever before, as experts suggest family imagery is crucial for Meghan's brand. Well, it's not. The imagery is not important. The level of interest is what's important, and the level of interest globally is off the scale when it comes to Harry, Meghan and the family, because they are likeable, genuine do-gooders who put the focus on the things we want to talk about. So there's lots of individual people like me and lots of families that want to follow them on socials to see what they're up to in their life. Good follows good, and good people follow good people because you're interested in what they're getting up to, because you want to be involved. On the flip side of the coin, you will find bad follows bad. Bad intentions follow other people with bad intentions. I think that says everything about the state of the non-working, taxpayer-funded, leeching royal family versus the people that left and a sunny side up.
At some point, you've got to put the keyboard down and ask yourself a very simple question. What kind of grown adult spends their day beefing with a 5-year-old? Seriously? We're talking about a little girl who should be worried about cartoons, birthday cake, and whether she gets extra sprinkles on her ice cream. Instead, you've got a newspaper practically hanging a giant target over her head and inviting the usual crowd to pile in. And then people wonder why Harry got out. Look at this mess. The Daily Mail took what should have been the most harmless story on earth, a child's birthday, and somehow twisted it into a conspiracy board covered in red string. A birthday, a kid blowing out candles. Yet somehow we're supposed to believe this is a secret corporate strategy meeting happening between finger sandwiches and balloons. Give me a break. The funniest part is that these same people spent years screaming that Harry and Meghan should keep their children private. Now the children are private and they're still mad. So what was the real issue? Exactly, because when somebody moves the goalposts every 5 minutes, eventually you realise they were never interested in the game. They just wanted something to complain about. Let's keep it real. If your newspaper readers are racing to the comments section to roast a kindergartner before their coffee gets cold, maybe the problem isn't the child. Maybe the problem is the environment you've created. A normal person sees a little girl's birthday photo and says, "Oh, that's nice." A tabloid sees the same thing and starts acting like they've uncovered Watergate. It's ridiculous, and honestly, it says more about them than it does about Harry, Meghan or Lilibet. Harry saw this machine up close for decades. He watched what it did to his mother. He watched how it chewed people up and spat them out for profit. So when he decided his own children weren't going to be raised inside that circus, can you really blame him? Looking at this latest stunt, I'd say he made the smartest decision of his life. Because here's the thing regular people understand. You don't have to like Meghan, you don't have to follow Harry, you don't have to care about royal drama. But if you're taking shots at a 5-year-old child because you don't like their parents, you've officially lost the plot. That's not criticism, that's not accountability, that's not journalism, that's playground nonsense from adults who should know better. And the more these tabloids keep swinging at children, the more they expose themselves, because normal people can spot obsession from a mile away. A kid's birthday should never become a battleground, yet somehow the Daily Mail looked at a little girl celebrating another year of life and thought, perfect, let's turn this into outrage. That tells you everything you need to know. Not about Harry, not about Meghan, not about Lilibet, about them. Can somebody explain to me when grown adults decided it was acceptable to turn a 5-year-old's birthday into a national crisis? Because that's where we're at now. A little girl celebrates her birthday and somehow a tabloid newsroom reacts like they've uncovered a secret plot to take over the world. It's honestly embarrassing. Princess Lilibet turns 5. 5! The age where kids are excited about balloons, cake, presents, and making a mess with frosting. Meanwhile, certain people are sitting behind computer screens trying to decode a child's birthday like they're working for the FBI. Get a hobby, touch some grass, take a walk, anything. What makes this whole thing so ridiculous is that the outrage isn't even really about Lilibet. Everybody knows that. The kid is just being used as a shortcut to get at Meghan. That's the game. That's always been the game. But here's the problem. When your dislike for an adult gets so intense that you start dragging a child into the fight, you've officially driven straight past common sense and crashed into a brick wall. Normal people don't think like that. Regular folks see a child's birthday and think, cute, that's it. End of story. They don't sit there with a magnifying glass trying to figure out whether the birthday cake is secretly part of some grand marketing operation. Imagine explaining this to somebody who doesn't follow royal news. So, a newspaper wrote a story about a 5-year-old's birthday, okay, and then hundreds of adults got angry about it. Wait, what? Exactly. It sounds insane because it is insane. The funniest part is that Harry and Meghan spent years being told they should protect their children from media attention. So they did. They moved thousands of miles away. They built a private life. They drew boundaries. And somehow the same people who demanded privacy are still furious. That tells you the complaints were never really about privacy in the first place. They just don't like the fact that Harry and Meghan stopped asking permission. That's the part that bothers them. The loss of access, the loss of control, the fact they can't park photographers outside the school gates and call it journalism. And honestly, every stunt like this just proves Harry was right. Look at what happens whenever even the smallest glimpse of these children appears. The conversation immediately turns ugly. Adults start acting weirder than the kids. Think about that for a second. A room full of grown people losing their minds over a kindergartner's birthday. Nobody comes out of this looking good. Not the commentators, not the tabloids, not the people cheering it on. The only person who looks innocent in all of this is the actual child, which by the way should have been obvious from the start. Lilibet didn't ask for headlines, she didn't ask for public debate, she didn't ask to become somebody's latest outrage machine. She's just a little girl having a birthday. You know things have gone completely off the rails when a 5-year-old kid is getting treated like she's the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Seriously, a little girl has a birthday and somehow certain tabloids are talking about her like she's sitting in a boardroom reviewing quarterly earnings reports. She's 5. 5. At that age, most kids are trying to figure out whether they can get away with eating cake before dinner. They're not plotting global brand strategies. The whole thing would be funny if it wasn't so weird. What gets me is the language. Notice how some outlets don't just say, here's a birthday update. No, they have to turn it into something darker. Suddenly, a child becomes a brand. Suddenly, family photos become marketing. Suddenly, a birthday becomes a business move. Come on, if your brain immediately jumps from little girls celebrating her birthday to corporate strategy, that says more about you than it does about the child. Let's be real, most parents love sharing moments of their kids growing up. That's normal, that's human. That's been happening since the invention of cameras. People put pictures on refrigerators, they put them in photo albums, they send them to grandparents. Now people post them online. Welcome to Earth. But somehow when it's Harry and Meghan, the most ordinary family moment gets treated like it's an international scandal. It's exhausting, and honestly, it's getting a little embarrassing, because once you start talking about a child as if she's some kind of product instead of an actual kid, you've already lost the argument. The conversation stops being about journalism. It stops being about accountability. It becomes something else entirely. And you can see the result almost instantly. The headlines go up, the comments explode. And that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for hanging out with me today and making it all the way to the end. You're the real MVPs. Seriously, in a world of endless scrolling, you chose to spend your time right here, and I appreciate every single one of you. I'm your host, Miles, signing off before the tabloids accuse me of launching a global conspiracy through a YouTube outro. If you enjoyed today's video, had a laugh, nodded along, or yelled exactly at your screen at least once, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and join our growing community. And if you'd like to give the channel an extra boost, you can always send a super thanks. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember, some people spend their day arguing with strangers online. You spent it with Miles. That's already a better life choice. See you in the next one.